The Justice Department said it didn't have enough evidence to move forward, and as we've been reporting, the attorney for Martin's family said she was not surprised by the DOJ's decision. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm not surprised either, Nicole. When you're trying to prosecute a hate crime, there is a higher standard for federal hate crime prosecution, and I didn't think that this case was going to meet that standard.
Goldsboro historian and advocate Frances Oliver, she maintains the Trayvon Martin Memorial. She says that black men continue to be killed in Sanford at an alarming rate, and now in the wake of Eric Garner and Michael Brown. Do you think attitudes have changed, not just in Sanford, but across Central Florida?
It would be hard for me to say that attitudes have changed. I'm sure among some Central Floridians, attitudes have changed, and among some others, they haven't. But what I have seen is that there seems to be a more concerted effort to look at these issues, a more intentional effort to look at these issues. And I'll cite a few examples. In the fall, the Orlando Shakespeare Theater presented a play called Best of Enemies, which was about the friendship between a poor civil rights activist and a Klansman, and this was a true story. Last fall also, I moderated a forum at the Holocaust Memorial Resource and Education Center in Maitland that focused on marginalized communities. And also recently, Rollins College, UCF, Valencia College, and the League of Women Voters brought to town Peggy McIntosh, who wrote the controversial article White Privilege, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. And what Peggy came to town to do was to torch racial mythology. And more recently, Northland senior pastor Joel Hunter and the Reverend Paul Wright of Calvary Temple of Praise conjoined their congregations to watch the movie Selma. And what this shows is that people are at least looking at these issues and being thoughtful and having conversations about these important issues. And through these conversations, attitudes hopefully will be changed about the value of black men's lives and the value of all life in our communities.
What do you think is being lost in the debate, in the conversation? What do you think people should be talking about but aren't?
Well, I think what people should be talking about is the fact that we're afraid to really confront this issue head on. A lot of the conversations that we have after catastrophic events such as the death of young black men in these communities are pretty superficial. I think a lot of times political correctness is holding us back from having these frank conversations about race, and I think that's what's going on, is that we talk about it on a surface level, but we don't peel back the onion and get down to the root of what the issues are. And the issues are still, by and large, the fact that even 50 years after the civil rights legislation was passed, that a lot of the issues that that law was intended to address still exist.
Darryl Owens, as a columnist and editorial writer, what are you keeping an eye on in the future when it comes to all of these issues?
I'm just keeping an eye on, I suppose, consistency. Again, people say we want to resolve these issues. They say we want to talk about it. So I'm just keeping an eye on making sure people are actually following through with that, because it's one thing to say it, to, talk the talk, but you need to walk the walk as well. And we need our community not to let these issues have dust collect on them. We need to keep talking about them. We need to keep figuring out solutions to make things better in this community in not just a black and white way, but in a way that emphasizes the fact that we are all Americans and we need to address this American problem.
Darryl, thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure, Nicole.
That's Darryl Owens, columnist and editorial writer for the Orlando Sentinel. This is 90.7 News. I'm Nicole Creston.